Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome you this evening to the 2015 address, State of Hanover Township, to be delivered by Mayor Ronald Francioli. In the hallway we have index cards. If anyone is interested in filling out an index card to ask a question of the mayor or any members of the Township Committee, you're certainly welcome to step outside and complete an index card. And then following the mayor's address, we're going to open it up for questions and answers. So at this time, in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, we've given adequate notice by posting today's meeting on the website and by providing notice to the Hanover Eagle and the Morris County Daily Record, and by filing same with the Township Clerk, being myself. On roll call, Committeeman Gallagher.
Here.
Committeeman Ferramosca.
Here.
Committeeman Bruno.
Here.
Committeeman Capola.
Here.
And Mayor Francioli.
Here.
5 members in attendance, sir. And at this time, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you
Pledge.
and welcome the mayor for his address. And at this time, we'll do a Pledge of Allegiance.
Everyone, please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you,
Thank
Joe.
you, ladies and gentlemen. At
Okay.
this time, we will turn over the program now to Mayor Francioli.
Thank you,
Mayor.
Joseph. I appreciate that. Hey, I'd like to take a moment just to recognize some guests that might be with us here tonight. And looking around the room, David, where are you?
Right here, Mayor.
Oh, he says hi to you. Right. David is freeholder, and I want to recognize David. I want to recognize David and the freeholders for a couple of reasons. I'm going to use this microphone so everybody in the back. How's that, Chief? Very good. Better? All right. The Freeholder Board has been very, very helpful to us in Hanover. This past winter was a horror, as we all know, with the damage to the roads, etc., and then even the fact that we ran very, very close, as most municipalities did, with salt and grit. And I have to tell you that one phone call to David, and he said, "How many trucks can you get up here to the county?" And he said, we'll fill them up for you. David, you did, and you bailed us out, and I'm sure you bailed out a lot of other municipalities during the course of that time. But you want to say hello?
Sure, Mayor. Thank you. I'll just give you an update, a quick update on the enhanced road resurfacing program that the county has been doing. This year, we're going to resurface 33 miles of roads in 22 municipalities. The county is investing $10.5 million on road resurfacing projects alone. That doesn't include the bridges that the county is responsible for maintaining. And we did something a little different this year. You know, my world is construction. That's what I do for a living. And the county really never put out these bids and the specifications for these paving projects until after the budget was adopted. And that gets us real late into the season. Mm-hmm. Contractors become busy. You know, you don't get as many bidders. So what we did is the finance department actually funded the $10.5 million before we adopted our 2015 budget. So we were able to go out to bid early on in the season, and we've already awarded 3 or 4 of the contracts. So we want to continue with that road enhancement program. I'm not sure if we're doing any public works projects in Hanover Township now this year.
Well, the bridges were quite enough. And thanks to the county, we've got 4 new bridges in Hanover Township. Yes. So, I mean, that was quite an undertaking. So, again, we thank you for that, too.
And that's the update, unless you or any of the committee members have a question for me.
Yeah. Gentlemen, nothing. Okay, David, thanks.
Okay, thank you.
David, I know you guys are running around tonight, that's for sure, and I appreciate your being here. So if you have to leave, by all means, we understand.
Okay.
But let me begin at the beginning, and everybody in this room, pretty much from the faces that I'm seeing, is going to know the people sitting in back of me. But just in case you want a reintroduction, you're going to see the Deputy Mayor, John Faramasca, over here. John's responsibilities this year was the Engineering Department, as well as Planning, as well as the Economic Development Committee, where he's been Director of as well, and he served on the Green Team for the Township. Alongside him is Tom Ace Gallagher, and our new guy on the block, so to speak, as I tease him. But Tom has taken on a lot of responsibility this year with our Public Works Department, and quite a year to take that on, by the way, after all the damage and everything else that we had, but he's doing a yeoman job with that. And he's got some wonderful programs that he's also incorporated into our Substance Awareness Committee, and including a Safe Schools program that he's doing so great with, very, very well with that. George Capola should not have to be introduced. George has been with us for quite a while. George, under public safety, has taken responsibility for police, fire, ambulance squad, etc. along the way. He's also on our Landmark Commission. He's also liaison to the senior citizens. What am I forgetting? I think
Veterans Alliance.
The Veterans Alliance as well, and we certainly don't want to leave those out. And George does a yeoman job with that. And to his right is Bobby Bruno. Bob's our Director of Recreation, and Bob's been involved also as our liaison to the Regional School Board, and involved as well cultural arts and, cultural arts as well. And,
as well as the building department.
What did I miss? The buildings department, of course, at the same time. So in the course of this evening, we're going to keep this informal. We're small, so we can do a lot of chat here. But in the course of this evening, if you have questions or questions that come up out of the presentation that you're going to hear, we're all here to answer those for you. Each one of these gentlemen has their unique directorships and responsibilities, and that's the way the committee form works. It works here in Hanover Township. At this point, Scott's with us. Scott, how you doing? Sadly, we heard of Scott tendering his resignation from the Elementary and Middle School Board of Education. Been superintendent, been with here in Hanover 30-odd years, 35, something in that extent. Long time. And so we're losing a very valuable superintendent of schools at the end of this June, Scott, and we wish you well. We know you're not going to sit back on your laurels. You're going to find other career positions in education to continue what you're doing, and you're doing a fine job with Hanover Township, with our schools and our blue ribbon schools, and it's all added to the quality of this township. So we thank you definitely for all those years of service, truly. And I had breakfast with Scott for about 16 years in Rotary, so I know what a dedicated guy he is, that's for sure. It goes without saying that in a town like ours, we've got something pretty unique in our government, and that is we've got longevity in the government. But some of the faces that you see here tonight are here because of some of the faces that were here. And I'd be really remiss, and I wanted to take note going back, I can do this, back to names like Michael Salka, names like Art Albone, names like Peter Skurla, names like Tony Radice, and certainly I know he's watching me tonight, so Sal Iannacone. Sal, these are the guys that hand-delivered, they're all watching on the camera now, Sal. Okay, these are the guys that hand-delivered Hanover Township to us in the form that it is. And we've kept it that way, I'm happy to say. We're still debt-free. We have no bonded debt. We don't have a bond rating. We find that a huge benefit in the county. And that is that without bonded debt, that's that much less debt outflow that Hanover Township has that we have to be concerned with, and we want to stay that way. And one of the things that our predecessors taught us here is cigar box budgeting, and we all know what that is. And cigar box budgeting, again, reminds you, Mom put the cigar box back on the old refrigerator, and when she had enough money in it, that's when Dad bought the new one.
And that's the way Hanover works. If the money's not there, we don't buy it. And we've always operated Hanover Township on that basis. We've got a new fire chief in town, Jim Davidson, you know, may know, retired this past weekend, and Cedar Knolls in District 3. And that job has gone over to Chad DiGiorio. Chad is been in that position, trained by Jim. He's going to step up into. It's going to be seamless. So I think that's a wonderful asset to the Cedar Knolls district, and certainly Chief Joseph Courtwright continues in District 2 for Whippany. Along the way, I'm going to show you some pictures of what's going on down there, so everybody gets a feel for that as well. I want to say also, in part of the introduction, and I'm going to get into this, special thank you to a gentleman sitting in the center of that dais, but in back of me, and that's Joe Giorgio. This township for 33 years, 33 or 34, Joe?
It's my 34th.
34th, God's sakes, oh, that's a long time. You ready?
Started together.
Are you ready? No? Okay. Has served this township for all of those years, I might add alongside myself, and he's been a wonderful confidant, a close colleague, a good tutor along the way, keeping me on the straight and narrow, keeping the township committee on the straight and narrow, and we certainly hope, you know, that Joe's going to continue in that role for some years to come. There are members of the township that are with us tonight. Silvio Esposito's with us, our Chief Financial Officer. Robin, is Robin here tonight? Here you are in the back, Robin Dente. Robin took over a big role this year. With Bayer coming in and all the new industry I'm going to tell you about, her big role consisted of taking over as a community affairs director inside the township. That took a lot of weight off of the chairman and the office of the mayor in responding to these corporations that we now have in, working with their government affairs officers and getting things done. So Robin, you're doing a yeoman job on that, and we thank you for that, that's for sure. Chief of Police is with us, Steve Gallagher. We're going to be talking about the department a little bit. George has fought for and now got us our 30th officer in the police department. That's going to be coming up middle of June, the latter part of June. We'll be adding on. Is he coming out of the academy? We ready with him, Steve?
Still up there now.
Yeah?
Graduates in
That'll bring our force back up to 30. Near what we were before. We had to do a lot of cuts several years ago. Don't have to remind people too much about that. Our township engineer, Jerry Massera, is here as well. And another announcement, George Van Orden left us. Most of us in this room worked with George over the years. Phenomenal. Dr. Van Orden as a health officer was phenomenal. I always worried about George because I thought the state was going to steal him from us at some point. And but George got to the point with us where he had his time in and felt retirement was in order. He took advantage of that. He's still going to teach, which he's continually doing. And he's been replaced. Kim Zagorski, am I pronouncing that right? Yeah, I think I am. Was interviewed, has taken on the position. She's been with us almost a month or so, a couple of months now, and already showing how effective she is on our board of health. The board of health, another very, very important part of the township under Dr. Zabrowski. Dr. Zabrowski is with us, meets one Wednesday a month, but I can't tell you how effective that board is, not only in this town, but other towns where we provide services, nursing services, health services, information. We tightened up our communications with our own senior citizens here in town, and we have a liaison person that keeps them informed as well of of issues that would affect their health here in our town, and doing a fantastic job with that as well. Was going to make an announcement for the general populace with us tonight, but I think preaching to the choir, because I think all of you know it, that Township Committee holds its meetings the second and fourth Thursdays of every month, and right here in Town Hall at 7:30 they have their conference session, at 8:30 the regular session. The website has been improved, and It carries all of the agenda items for the coming meetings here in Town Hall. You can check that at any time. You can also go to links that'll give you any previous meetings that are being videotaped right now, and look over meetings that have taken place to catch up with them. The telecast can also be seen on Channel 21, and all meetings on the Open Public Meetings Act, as the administrator showed you, are given over to the Daily Record and the Hanover Eagle. Okay, having said that, little company facts here about Hanover Township, and I think this was information that all of us on the Township Committee appreciated as well. And at this particular time in Hanover, our staff size between full-time and part-time employees is 172 people. So, okay, now you're jumping on a little on ahead of that. We've got a total payroll in your town of $9,818,000, and for that. Now, what you're looking at here on the staffing side shows where those individuals are in the various departments they are. The grand total of 174 and that. Okay, Peter, let's go to another slide. Okay, go over that one. All right. I'm going to jump over to rateable base for a second here. And as you know, since 2012 or earlier, around 2010, we suffered some big losses here in Hanover Township. When Alcatel-Lucent pulled out, that was your largest rateable. And believe it or not, your largest rateable after that was Morristown Airport, and who carried the biggest amount of taxes for the township. But since then, and with the help of our Economic Development Committee, who's been doing a fantastic job, we brought the rateable base all the way up. We're at this point $3,697,000,000. So we're a total of about 47 million, but significantly higher in the rateable base. And to that end, that's why we are enjoying the 2014 zero tax increase on properties here in Hanover Township. That's why you're enjoying the 2015 zero tax increase here in Hanover Township. And I'm stammering here a little bit because Silvio's giving me some hard looks here, but we're gonna take a good hard look at 2016 and see how we do, because we haven't added on into this rateable slide that you're seeing some brand new ratables that I'm going to tell you about in a few minutes now too. And let's go to Pete. Let's flash. Where are you going? Flash it there. We can flash the dollar bill. General appropriations. Okay. General appropriations, which is your municipal budget, is what you're spending out here, is some $25 million and $25,086,000. And the dollar bill that I'm going to show you on our next slide. Okay. Nope. Okay. A summary of budget revenues. All right. This is. Oh, there you go. All right. Go. Stay with that. Stay with that. The summary of budget revenues, or surplus, the anticipated surplus here in the township right now is $4,425,000. Sylvia, I think that's probably one of the highest surpluses that we've carried in a while at this point. Is it? At least 5-6 years. Yeah. And this is where it's coming from. The income that you see here, alcohol licenses, $35,000. You see the numbers, but state aid, $2,293,000, and when you come all the way down to the bottom line, and I love the one in there. Let's see, hotel and motel. Hotel and motel, $800,000. That's a little down. We were up over $900,000 at one point. But some years ago, when we all had some issues about hotels coming into Hanover Township, everybody was rather negative about us and what the impact of hotels would be. Well, we've got several Marriotts now, and we've got several other big brand hotels now, and as you can see by this room tax number, this is a room tax number, that means we don't provide any needed services for that $800,000. They still pay taxes on top of the $800,000. So the $800,000 comes to you pretty clean, pretty net, and impacts us. But when you look at the bottom line, at the $9,120,000, it pretty much stabilizes and washing out your personnel, your S&W, your salaries and wages area. So we're looking pretty good. Now we can go to that dollar bill. Okay, this is the simplest way for you to look at it. And I think it has the most impact to a lot of people when you look at it this way. We have 2 fire districts. So the fire districts that you're looking at up here, on average, is about 4 cents of that dollar. And when you look at the reserve fund collecteds, that's about 5 cents on that dollar. Reserve fund collected is a piece of money that we're required by law to maintain against a history of taxes that are paid the year prior to. We take a look at that. But we've been pretty successful in collecting taxes here in Hanover Township. So we're not too uncomfortable about this 0.5 cents. What's the rate of collectible on last year? What was it?
98%.
98. Okay, 98% of us. What happened to the 2%? What do we do with them? The county taxes you see up here is that a 15 up there? What do you got up there?
15.
At a 15 cent, yeah, I see a red mark on that. That has remained the same. The county has not increased their taxes this year. I don't know that you increased them last year. I think did you?
3 years in a row.
3 years in a row, 0.
0.
You guys got a lot of money, that's the problem, But
Trying to become as efficient as Township.
the regional school tax, as you see, is 0.17 cents on your dollar. Municipal tax, 0.20 cents, and the local school tax, about 38 cents. So that's where your buck breaks down against the taxes, and it's compared to other municipalities, etc. It's not a bad ratio. Some taxes, that you look at, school taxes, etc., which impact it, are far higher than ours. So I think Scott and Carol Grossi on the regional level have done a wonderful job of holding down the budget on the school taxes. School taxes, is fiscal, so that doesn't work in conjunction with our January 1 to January 1 tax. So when we say we're delivering you a 0 tax increase, we are, but Scott's going to deliver his budget probably by you need end of June, somewhere in that area? So we'll know more about what the impact of that is on us, although we're not expecting anything, exceptional there. Let's talk about our new neighbors, and because we hear a lot about what's going on in Hanover. Every time I look at Facebook, I learn a little bit more about what's going on in Hanover. And but let's take a look. Bayer facility, and Bayer facility. This is a rendering of their new building. I know a lot of you haven't been able to get onto that site. It's certainly a secure site. But this is 770,000 square feet of the most beautiful building you've ever seen. And it's only got one problem. It's filled up already. And so Bayer came around and said, we're approved for another 300,000 to bring them up to 1 million square feet. And that's fine. A comment on this relative to what's happening in our township and people's concerns with traffic. And it's genuine concerns with traffic. And, when I read the emails and I read the comments that we get here that, can't we do more about solving the problems of traffic on Whippany Road? I'd like to solve the traffic problem, so would the Township Committee on Whippany Road and every other road in town. But here's the deal. Most of the traffic flow that we've recognized, that we see, is not coming out of industries here in Hanover Township. And you say, that sounds pretty odd. You got a place like Bayer like this. But if you look at Bayer and the way they come out into our traffic pattern with their swing times, etc., they don't create the impacts that we're seeing at the normal peak hours. If you're on Cedar Knolls Road and Jefferson Road, I describe it, and you look down Cedar Knolls Road, you'll see a line of traffic at 4:30, 5 o'clock coming out of the Madisons, coming out of the Florida Parks, even coming across Whippany Road from the Madisons, because they're coming to our highways. Look at that, I took possession of the highways, but they're state highways. But they're coming to reach the highway systems that we've got here, the 24s, the 287s, the 80s, etc. And so Hanover becomes the conduit, for all of this. When Novartis gets out, and I know you've heard me talk about this before, you're talking 6,700 employees that hit Route 10, and Route 10 at 4 o'clock, it's not even a bear. It's impossible. And, I think that's going to continue I know that the county has some plans that they're working on traffic circulation for the area. And there's some other mayors that have deep concerns like us. One of them is Columbia Turnpike and Park Avenue, and the amount of lanes that you've got there and the exit ramps off of 24 that come on there. And you probably heard there's been a lot of talk about a major undertaking over there that would be a flyover type of bridge that would avoid that intersection. 24 million, 25 million? What do you think?
North of 25 million?
Yeah. One big ticket, but I think the county is looking at it, and I know it's been brought to the state's attention, the DOT, et cetera. We have to do something with infrastructure, but that's longer term, and we've got to start dealing with short-term issues here with traffic. And some of the solutions that Hanover is going to try to employ is to bring some of these corporate captains of industry in and talk about how we can work together on getting their employees out onto the roads quickly and at different intervals of time, because it'll be quite a bit of time before we can get infrastructure like we're talking about done. We're still trying to get the Bayer Boulevard completed on the far end down to connect with what we call the Algonquin Parkway. Bayer Boulevard, I would say to you, that if we call it a driveway, it takes 90% of the way all the way down already. So we're talking about crossing about 1/6 of a mile of wetlands, and we're talking about crossing over the Whippany River to get to the behind PC Richards and to come back out on Route 10. And by doing it all of the Bayer traffic and all the traffic that you're going to see out of the South Campus does not come out onto Whippany Road, and if they're eastbound, does not come out on Route 10. So we think that's a win-win. And I wish we could go down to DOT and convince them that's a win-win. We've got a little bit of an issue. There's about 1/6 of an acre of wetland that we've got to cross that's owned by the New Jersey Land Trust. Did that come out right? Yeah. Didn't want to come out of my mouth for a second there. The New Jersey Land Trust will allow us passage through that small fraction of land at a mitigation or exchange of 5 to 1. So for every acre we disturb, they want us to deliver 5 acres to them. And I think the Bayer folks, in conjunction with the South Campus folks, in conjunction with the town, are presently exploring avenues that we want to use to make that connection happen. What's happening today at Bayer that you see right now is the realignment of the intersection. So that realignment is going to make Bayer Boulevard connect with the intersection at Whippany Road, Parsippany Roads with one traffic light. The other traffic light is going to be removed. That other driveway is going to be removed, and all the land on that south side of the driveway falls to a corporation known as Vision Equities, and that's where the MetLife building is going up now. Everybody who passes by that area right now grabs their chest. You know, it's totally under construction. You couldn't do more devastation if you tried. Houses are coming down, streets are being ripped up, roads are being opened up, berms are being built, widening is being done, telephone poles are being pushed back. It's an A-bomb, you know. And I agree with everybody that's looking at it, but I've got to tell you to be patient with us, because I described this goringly as open heart surgery. It looks like hell when you're going through it, but after it's done, it's going to be magnificent, and there's no doubt about that. Let's go on, Pete. What else we got happening here? Let's march down a little bit. Red Bulls training facility. Red Bulls putting in their 3rd field. They have 2 soccer fields now. They're putting in their 3rd field, which is, I understand, it should be almost complete, Jerry, right? On that 3rd one?
At least the training facility,
Yeah?
yes.
All right, so, and we're working out some deals with them. Meeting that I had with Bayer last week, and their government affairs people indicated to me that Bayer Corporation is coming into a branding deal with Red Bulls, and that will benefit both Bayer and Red Bulls. But I have to give our Bayer folks such tremendous credit because they're not going after the branding only from a marketing standpoint. they're going after the branding because they want to encourage more community service and involvement. They want the Red Bulls facility to be accessible to our sports teams, our soccer teams here in town. They're working on those arrangements now. They have a 5-year deal that they're working on, but it is going to lead to some special programs for us. And once again, Bayer, as usual, who put about $200,000 into Hanover last year, is ready to put more money into Hanover Township this year with special programs and needs that they're asking Hanover Township to come up with. Along with the Red Bulls, you saw UniFirst that's operating now. You probably didn't see UniFirst that's operating now because they're so quiet in what they do. They're cleaning and uniform providing operation over there in the old Summit Post Office on Jefferson Road. They took over that facility, got to be, John, a year now, better than a year now. And they run vehicles, service vehicles in and out of there, early morning hours, et cetera. We just about know they're operating there. And they're one of the largest providers of uniform cleaning there. Novartis took over Dendron over there across the street from the Menon Arena. Dendron was up there for quite a while now. Novartis is up there. They're doing the same proprietary drug that Dendron did, just branding it a little differently. ShopRite is up and running in Hanover Township. And that facility, I must admit, it's a beautiful flagship facility for them, 80,000 square feet. I tell the joke about our dial ride in our seniors club because we drop them off there and we tell them we'd like to pick them up in an hour and nobody's ready because you can't get out of there in an hour. So our drivers are complaining to us that we've got to do something to motivate them there. But ShopRite, you probably have been following some of it. ShopRite is looking for Hanover Township to give them approval on a liquor license. And somebody will say, well, what's so wrong about that? The grocery stores sell liquor. They sell it all the time. They sell packaged goods. It gets a little different here. Their license is called a place-to-place, person-to-person. And that would allow spirits and serve spirits in the grocery store, where they have the oyster bar. If you've ever been in there now, they have a beautiful oyster bar. But if they get the approval for the liquor license, they want the ability to serve spirits inside the liquor store, inside the grocer. Township committee's been several months into the hearings, probably coming up on rendering a decision on this. Our next hearing, Joe?
Well, probably by May 28th.
May 28th, we will deliberate.
That would be the latest.
We will hopefully render a decision on this. There's been a great deal of testimony back and forth on this as well. And another neighbor that's coming in that we've been waiting for countless years. Go ahead. I want you guys to see this. This is called Wegmans. Wegmans, in this view that you see here, I just described ShopRite as 80,000 square feet. You're looking at 140,000 square feet. This will be the biggest Wegmans, David, in Morris, the only and the biggest in Morris County. The site work is underway, and you see trees being cleared out there. This is across the street from the Marriott, off of Route 10. It's on 40 acres of land that Township owns on that west side of 287. And a couple of the details of this was getting this through the DOT for access to Route 10. One of the conditions for Wegmans that Wegmans wanted was for their patrons to be able to come in off of Route 10. It was a difficult road, nearly 3 years down at the DOT at a cost of several $1 million on the part of Matt Calley. But they finally got their permit a few weeks ago. No warrants, clean as a whistle, and they're on their way from there. And here comes ShopRite. And ShopRite is going to either resign itself to the fact that this is moving forward, or they'll once again become an objector to the DOT's approval of this. This has been delayed. I don't mind telling you, and of course Fred's out there, a lawyer for the township, and he's ready to go for my throat. I don't mind telling you that this has been a contentious situation between Stop and Shop, ShopRite, and Wegmans and Mac Cali for years. I call it the grocer wars. And the longer I can keep you from opening up your grocery store in my town, the more money I make. Well, that goes back to a basic fundamental issue that I have with, the infringement of my rights to run a business, for God's sakes. But this is what happens, and these grocers have big money, and they're talking big money. They've tied this up for quite a bit, but right now, I do think we're on what I call the back edge of the curve. I do think that the Wegmans is on its way, and I see the site work, as I said, is underway, the permits are underway, so we're going on the basis that this is going to be anywhere between a 12 to 18-month build-out before we have Wegmans. And by the way, it isn't on your tax rolls yet. All right, Pete, go ahead. You're looking at Whippany Village. You've seen the new Chase down there. That's one that they finished in there. And go ahead, Pete. And you've seen the CVS. And by the way, this is one of the foremost CVS facilities here in New Jersey, in Hanover Township. It does more business and more activities than any of their CVSs, so it's a very, very good business draw for them over here. Whippany Village has been a source of concern for us over the years, trying to finish it up. There is a finished site plan for you for Whippany Village. The finished site plan, in addition to these banks and this facility here, also calls for a retail segment behind all of this near the railroad tracks. It calls for a retail segment that also calls for a certain amount of apartment-type housing above the retail. That's been an issue. Some of the housing, though, is in conformity with what the township has to do with this COA allotment. So it's very easy to say that we don't want to build it, but on the other hand, we may be under some constraints. The planning board is recommending that the owners of this, which is again Vision Equities, come into planning and have a discussion on this. Maybe John will comment on that a little later, and we're going to see what we can do to get this jump started. This is a premier corner in the center of town. We really would like to see this finished and get underway. I'm going to run through some quickies on we've got the next one that I want to jump down to is MetLife on there? Let's let everybody see MetLife. That's nearly 200,000 square feet of the new MetLife building. And that's going to go up right alongside Bayer, but in the front, right across from Our Lady of Mercy Church. You see telephone poles being moved back because the road's going to be widened. There'll be an extra lane on Whippany Road that comes from the Eden Lane area all the way down and toward the bridge. And I don't know, does it break in before the bridge, or does it go right to the bridge, the extra road?
It goes right to the boulevard.
Is that,
Bayer Boulevard,
yeah?
yes.
So that you see that construction going on. Secondly, you see all of that earth in the front is part of what the planning board's requiring in a berm. That berm is going to go right across the front of the property. It's going to parallel Whippany Road. I meet that with mixed emotions. I mean, berm is fine, but this building is not too bad to the eye. And but the berm is going to take a lot of the impact of this building away from you, and it'll be a landscape berm that continues down Whippany Road on that side. So that's part of this open heart surgery I described to you earlier, and that's going to be going on for a little bit. But the good news is this: MetLife wants to be in by 2016. So they're on a real short line there when that's finally done. There's a requirement that we've got on this site that's going to be replantation of reforestation of trees. Off the top of my head and from the site plans that I saw, there were some 1,700 plantings or more on this site that are going to go in, and as part of our tree formula that we've got there. The Woodmont Knolls is finished. That's over on Cedar Knolls Road. That's 128 apartment units. I bring that up for one reason. The current market trend today before the planning is on rental units, these apartments. Morristown, as you probably see, is doing a yeoman job of building high-end apartments all through there. But they've got a different total of makeup in Morristown than we do. They are more cosmopolitan. They are more of the approach to the millennium owners. They are more of the single and double childless renters that are going to be there, business people that are working, and Morristown is making good use of that. But that's not Hanover. Hanover, we're still trying to protect the character of and the kind of homes we want. We want home ownership. If we put in homes, we want ownership. Ownership means you're more responsible to the property and to the areas and to the home itself. Johnson Controls going in on Jefferson Road. That's another one that we haven't had. So we've got a couple of more ratables that are going to be coming into the township in the coming year. Open space. You know, we're talking about all of this development, Mr. Francioli. What's going on with open space in the township? Well, we have not neglected open space in this township, and we've got an aggressive program going on where that's concerned. The least of which, David, thank you, the least of which is Route 24, which goes from Ridgedale Avenue and Cedar Knolls. You got a shot of that one? I'm jumping, there you go. Route 24 goes from the bottom of, by Horse Hill Road and Ridgedale Avenue, and continues right up to Morris Plains, where it connects with the 78 up there, which is a paper road too. And all of that land has been on the books, open and vacant, owned by the DOT for years as an expansion of 24. This year, and after several years of fighting down there in Trenton, we got Trenton to deregulate this piece of land. Now, what is it? What do I mean by that? By deregulating this piece of land, the DOT is now approved by the State House to sell the land, and Hanover is going to be the interested party in acquiring all of this land. It's currently zoned in Hanover for a public use area for open space. We don't know what that bottom line figure is going to be. We're right in the midst right now of trying to find out what kind of money the DOT wants for it, but we will be looking at that Route 24. There are other properties on our open space listing that we're looking at. Our present balance in the open space fund is about $500,000, some $551,000. Additionally, we've got some $325,000 in Green Acres grants that we have not used. And beyond that, our tree fund balance, low as it is down to $147,000. So we're sitting on about $1,023,000 in dollars under the open space area that we'll probably put to use at some particular point. Open space will continue making the recommendations on other properties contiguous with our parklands, et cetera, that we're looking at. And EDAC, Economic Development Advisory Committee. I can't say enough about these gentlemen and ladies. I mean, they are doing a phenomenal job. 2 Fridays a month that they meet, and they concentrate on what the needs are for Hanover Township in quality economic development. And they're redirecting themselves these days. We are presently going to be looking under the direction of John Faramosca, who's director of that area. We're presently looking at the mission of EDAC once again, since we have so many of these quality corporates coming in, and our focus probably will be on building better brand awareness for Hanover Township. I think that's one of the areas that we want to look at. We communications between the township and the populace. That's another area that they're looking at. And in the next meeting ahead, I think they've got a whole pecking order of goals that they want to review, you know, on that, from that area. Public Works, you know, we got the 3rd truck in, and so all of your sanitation is being picked up by a one-arm truck that is absolutely super. I couldn't get more in that 90-gallon can if I tried, boy, but I'll tell you, it's great. And so the entire township is being serviced. The big issue back then, when we were going over to the one-arm truck, is that, you know what, it's got to go down one side of the street, then he's got to come back the other side of the street. So you're doing twice the route. Well, no, it doesn't work that way. He doesn't get out of the truck, never does it, never touches the can. He picks it up, goes to the next home, and in the span that he goes both sides of the streets is less time that he did it in one with 3 guys on the truck. What'd you do with the other 2 guys? Well, they're back into the Public Works Department and they're being redeployed. So when doing that, what Township has done in redirecting them is waiting for opportunities Where that staffing is concerned, if we can't be redeployed, then attrition may take them out through retirements or they're moving away, and the staff will reduce by that unless the director and the superintendent tell us that his staffing needs are differently. So that's what's going on there. Repaving, we're doing the best we can after all of the winter's damage. And I think, Brian, the patchwork, and I got to call it patchwork, but the work that you're doing is super. It looks good, looks as good as any contractor that we bring in, so the guys are doing a fantastic job on that. And we're still trying to sweep up all the grit that we put down the street. You put down 150 tons of grit, you got to pick up 150 tons of grit. So they're moving all through that as well. And I mentioned when David was here, we've got 4 new bridges in town: Eden Lane, Jefferson Road, Whippany Road, and Frederick. So that's all happening, and that's on the county's dime. So it didn't cost us taxpayers anything for what we need there. Presently, under John Faramasca and the Planning Board, the zoning reviews that are going on, socioeconomic study has been just about completed. River Park is some 88 acres that we're all aware of, the Whippany Paperboard property. Been contentious, back and forth with them. I don't know, what are we in, a 4th lawsuit? You know, it's got to be something like that, Fred. They do have an approved settlement on that property that the courts gave approval to, which calls for flex buildings along with some age-restricted housing or senior housing on that property. We're watching that very closely, and the reason I say that, and I'm a little guarded on that, is we've also now gotten in Hanover Township our new COA requirements. COA, is everyone aware of what that code means there? That's the Council of Affordable Housing. And throughout the state of New Jersey, every municipality is bound by it. And COA now, up until about, let me back up. COA up until about 6 months ago, Hanover Township only had 9 units left. We did everything right. We satisfied the Council of Affordable Housing's requirement for all of the low and moderate housing that we would have to put in Hanover Township. We did it. And do we have a slide on the COA there?
We do, but the TV froze here.
Okay, technical glitch. Because what I wanted to show you is something that our townships are with. We sit here Thursday nights, and people come forward to the podium, and they're with the amount of housing that is going up in town. Every time a piece of land comes into planning, and it's zoned and for housing, there's issues over that, the fact that we're overdeveloping in housing. And some of the arguments that we've gotten, some people have done their research and said, you now built something like 14 or 1,500 housing units in this town, pretty overbuilt. But if Peter ever finds the chart, what you're going to see is that the amount of units that we built the process over some 30 years in what's known as an inclusionary method. That means, and back in those times, and yours truly was here during that initial time, 22% of building had a moderate. And that's what created our Oak Ridge, that's what created Hanover Hills, that's what created 5 of the developments that we have in the town now. And in doing that, we satisfied our COA requirement. Now COA, in their infinite wisdom, comes back to Hanover and says, you know what? Here's your new allocation under low and moderates, 1,000 units. That is absolutely insanity. And they think it's conservative because, the only reason they said 1,000 units is that the state put a ceiling on how many. So if they didn't put a ceiling on it, we would have been over it's in their estimation, Well, I don't need to tell you that this township committee totally disagrees with the manner in which that formula came about. I think it's going to wind up further in the courts. I think it's going to be fought. I think we're going to stand our ground that we've lived up to our end of the COA requirements, and we're not going to do a damn one more under the COA until we get this straightened out. from our standpoint. The traffic issues that we looked at on there, we have some improvements that we're going to be doing here within. We have on our list of improvements, we're going to be putting sidewalks in on Reynolds, and that, Jerry just went out on, did that go out now? Is that ready to?
Construction should begin next week.
Next week.
Reynolds Avenue sidewalk.
Okay, so Reynolds Avenue along the school side will have sidewalks coming down to Parsippany Road. And finally, as we develop along Parsippany Road, we'll have access sidewalks up Parsippany Road all the way up to the Quick Check, which is our goal, so that the student population and the children in there can walk comfortably through that area, and the stores that they go through that area. This is a chart that of our school population. Why do I have that? And I thank Scott for his help in calling both Tom Gallagher and myself into his meeting a few weeks ago when the school board finished up with an outside agency, a study they did on the direction of the student population in Hanover Township over the next 5 years. And we were most concerned with that, because every time we put a home in, there's a statistic on how many children we get out of it. Well, when we looked at what this firm had done, and by the way, they took into consideration up to date every development that we had in our town and what it could yield. And what you're looking at is the combined enrollment of the township schools here as from Bee Meadow and Salem and Mount View Road, etc. And you see this population movement going downward. It's not growing, as is the fear that many have that have come into this room and shared their concerns with us, that we're adding to the school population and that ultimately we're going to add to the need for school improvements, infrastructure, etc. We're going to be vigilant about that anyway. There's no doubt about it. But I think we're somewhat comfortable in what we're seeing, unless there's something exceptional that happens in Hanover that requires us, to consider more housing. And I go back to Cole when I say that. But unless we do, this looks like the pattern in which you're going in your school population, which is downward over the next 5 years from there. We have another exciting area that we're working on. And now if Pete can find that slide on connectivity and the trails, it's going to take a peek at something. Okay. Some in this room, Mr. Cadu, remember Patriots Path. And Patriots Path is something that we're going to continue with, and continue with it under a new banner. Now, what we did some years ago is we had the starts of Patriots Path that went through the Colloid properties, went out toward the Morris County Mall, and to the Frelinghuysen properties, etc. We examined that. John and I walked that one afternoon, and Jerry's been out there, walked that as well. We're restoring all of that, and from the Frelinghuysen Arboretum, past the Morris County Mall, and over to where Cargill is now, and then coming out behind, alongside the new development for Woodmont, which was the old Colloid property. That, by the way, that trail's been totally 8-foot wide, beautiful fence, landscaped, etc., alongside the Whippany River. We're going to be able to cross Cedar Knolls Road. You're going to go over to that new development on the other side called Crossings, which is corporate buildings right now. Trails are in there now. That's going to connect with our Central Park. Central Park trails are in. They might be looked at for improvement. Central Park will then come back out onto Eden Lane. There's a trail that we're putting in along Eden Lane that might be somewhat of a bike trail or walking trail marked on the road until you get up to Whippany Road. Across Whippany Road onto the MetLife properties, and John Paramoska was there this morning with some of the designers looking at how that's going to happen, and that will then meander through the MetLife area and I think finally terminate at the Bayer property. Now, Bayer is putting up dollars toward this improvement. MetLife and through Vision Equities, putting up dollars for the improvement. So we're not looking at this first phase of going into tax dollars. We also have some grants we're putting into motion to get this. At some point, the connectivity plan, Bob's been working on this, and they have developed with an outside consulting firm a connection of trails and routes through the town, not just this first phase, but throughout the town. And in the course of the years ahead, we'd like to make this blueprint a reality and continue. So you'll be able to bicycle, walk, walk the dog, enjoy the nature areas as it goes through. It'll probably be part of the new Route 24 properties that we're talking about too, because it'll mean way. So we're looking forward to that going on very, very shortly. We on this trails, a side note here. When we did the trails and we wanted to find sources of revenue for this thing, the Township Committee and once again between John Faramasca, between Bob Bruno, petitioned the Freeholder Board to put on the ballot a question of whether or not these trails and the improvements of these trails could be part of their grant program for open space grant monies that they have in there. And that question passed. That question passed. So at this particular phase of it, we're just waiting for that to settle before we can make application and draw down on it?
Exactly.
Okay. So our town, Hanover, and other towns now can benefit from the passing of that bill on this on trails through Patriots Path that they would have. I'm gonna wind down at this juncture, and probably what we'll do is give you a break from me, and we'll take like 5 minutes and give you an opportunity to write down on your cards whatever questions and concerns, questions or information that you need. George, oh my God, I stepped on George's foot on that one. Let's go back to, I want to show you the new Whippany Fire Company. Okay, thanks. Here it is, okay. Troy Road, you see it happening right now. The original concept, as you might remember, was for this to be in Whippany Village. And it was going to be a land swap, meaning that the owners of Whippany Village were going to give up that restaurant portion that they had on that vacated Troy Road, and they were going to swap it, and the fire company was going to give Vision Equities the front. For whatever reasons, that didn't come to fruition, and the fire company bought the Laurie property, 3 lots, residential lots across the street on Troy Road next to Skirla's dental practice over there. You see the construction going on right now. There's iron going up right now. This is a rendering of the new fire company, and when it's finally done. And the fire commissioners will be consolidating into this facility. It's not only the fire company will own it, but the fire commissioners who have that house on Route 10 next to the firehouse will now relocate to the top floors of this building, and they'll pay lease space to the fire company, an arrangement that they have in order to take care of the finances of this building. And what are the finances of this building? This building isn't going to the taxpayers directly. This building is financed through a long-term mortgage that the fire commissioners arranged, or the fire company arranged. So they're going to be paying mortgages like you and me against this, and when they looked at the tax base and the funding that they have in that district, they feel that they'll be very comfortable in approaching it that way without any additional impact to District 2 taxpayers from there. Thanks, George. I appreciate that one. Township continues, as it always will, with the amount of litigations that we've got going on. I mentioned the ShopRite, Hanover, Wegmans litigation, River Park litigation going on. And finally, there's another sensitive area, and I'm going to end on that for you. Some time ago, many of you knew of issues that were coming out of Mary's Farm Stand. I'll call it Mary's Farm, Mary Esposito. The farm stand on Cedar Knolls Road and Whippany Road. It's a beautiful piece of land, And Mary's had her stand there as long as I've known. And by the way, she can have her stand there as long as she wants. There is no issue with Mary's conducting business as the farm stand there. She's been grandfathered there, et cetera, and everybody enjoys it. But the township has found itself in a very awkward position because the property has been leased to other businesses on that property, in that area. That's a residential piece of property, by the way. And there are several other commercial businesses in there. The township has worked with Mary for 2 years and the family to try and resolve it amicably, giving her time, effort, etc. Unfortunately, it had made its way into the courts, into our municipal court, and it's now making its way into Superior Court, and I think next week it'll be heard in Superior Court for final determination as to the cleanup.
Tomorrow, Ron.
Cleanup.
Tomorrow at 3 o'clock.
Oh, tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Fred, who's representing? Are you going to be there?
Yes, actually, but the
Okay.
prosecutor's saying.
We're not out to hurt Mary, a longtime family in this township, but there are zoning rules, there are regulations that we all have to abide by, and we in Hanover as a family have made every exhaustive effort to have her clean the property up, and failing that, we have no other remedy but where we're going. Hey, that's it, folks. You got a lot of info and within the hour, and I'm sure there's a lot more that we could talk about, but let's see what your questions flush out. So I'm going to take a 5-minute break for the committee as well. All right, we'll do that right now. Then we'll come back, and if there's other things we can talk about, let's talk about them. Okay? Thanks a lot.
Go up, put up the affordable housing.
If you have that slide, because even John can talk to it.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're beginning now.
Yeah, Bobby here? Yeah, here he is. Very good. Okay, back in session?
We're back in session.
Okay. All right. Okay, we're back in session, folks, and we have one card. That's a very good thing, because obviously that tells us that either you've gotten what you want and that you're pleased with what you've heard, and I hope that's the case. But we do have one question, and since it's one relative to zoning, I'm going to give this. What do you want to do?
Do the slide first.
Oh, yeah.
Said you wanted to do the slide first.
You want to do this? Have you seen this?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, you got it in front of you.
Yeah.
Okay. This is what you're seeing. I was for you before. This is the COA that Hanover has complied with, and we want to give you an idea of why you wound up with the amount of condominium housing units that you did. Hanover Hills, Oak Ridge, Sterling Park, Sunrise, Eden Mill Village. How did that happen? Okay, and again, this goes back to the early 80s with COA. We didn't have such clusters of condominiums in Hanover Township. It was the biggest source of a fight in Hanover Township. But in order to do it, what we call inclusionary, we had to build X amount of units. So, John, if you want to explain that chart, it's right in front of you. Right, go ahead.
Okay, chart's got a lot of numbers, and a lot of numbers go back to 1984. But the numbers to really latch on to is 1,410, which goes back to 1984, 379, and the sum of the 1410 and 379, which gives you 1789. And during this period since 1984, what we've been dealing with are what they call several rounds of COA obligations. And the township has performed well in terms of managing the COA requirements. Hanover Township is not against affordable housing. Hanover Township is very pro trying to develop affordable housing in the right way. And what we did was we tried to use a method which we called inclusionary method. So that means when you want to put up units of housing, let's say you want to put up 50 market units, we're going to tell you, okay, what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to build 60 total units so that you meet the needs of the affordable housing responsibility. So the township was very successful in doing that. Most recently, you'll see a number towards the lower right of that page, and you'll see something called Saddlebrook Court. And you say, total market units 0. Why'd you do that? You said your method was inclusionary. Inclusionary worked. And you see a total affordable units of 78. So that's 100% affordable. Well, the benefit in us building the 100% affordable with all the credits associated with the way it's managed with COA was that equaled about 800 market units. So you could have traded off the 78 dedicated affordable units or have 800 market units. So that's why that one has a 0 in it, so I wanted to point that out. What the mayor spoke about was our responsibility for the latest round in COA. Hanover worked very hard, and as a result of the latest round, we had an obligation of 9 additional COA units to the year 2023. That's what we were working with. That's our plan. We've been working and managing COA since 1984. Well, to our surprise, lo and behold, we read in the newspaper that Hanover and many other municipalities are being gifted by the court system, essentially, here's 1,000 for you. And we right now are challenging the basis of that. We have a plan, and we're going to push to get our plan certified. We think we're in a good position, but it's something that we actively manage because we believe in trying to maintain a suburban look and feel throughout Hanover Township. So that's a summary as to what's taking place with COA.
Well, I think it's important, and John explained it very, very well, because we've had some residents who have come forward and looked at the township and saying, look what you've done, 1,789 units that you put in. This didn't happen overnight. This didn't happen in a year. This was 30 years, folks, that we did that. And if we could have kept Hanover the way it was 30 years ago, God bless us. But I use the expression for us too, and I use the expression going forward that we are dynamic. So we're going to keep moving forward with quality ratables. We have a question that came in, and I'm going to give that to the Director of Planning.
The question reads, what is the status of Park Avenue and Whippany Road? This is the former church property. For those of you who have been through planning sessions and township committee sessions, we went through a great amount of effort in trying to evaluate what we believe was the best use for that property going forward, since this church essentially was selling itself because the congregation no longer supported it. After much discussion and work by the township committee evaluating every single option, it was decided that we would introduce an ordinance called R10A. And what does that mean in simple English? In simple English, it means putting in an ordinance that would allow for single-family homes at that location. Approximately 20-something single-family homes in that location. Very similar in look, in feel, and design to a very nice community right up Jefferson Road here called Windermere. So if it eventually gets built, it will look somewhat like Windermere. What's the status on it? Well, the status is essentially that the township has an ordinance in place. There is a developer who has acquired the property, and that developer can build according to the ordinance. But the developer just can't go out there and knock everything down and start building. What the developer's going to have to do is the developer's going to have to come in, sit at that table, and present a plan, not to the township committee, but to present a plan to the planning board. And the planning board is going to assess that plan. It's going to look at it in terms of the regulations the township has in terms of setbacks and requirements. It's going to look at it in terms of traffic safety. It's going to look at it in a number of factors. And after going through the whole planning process, if it is approved, it's not an automatic when you go through the planning process. If it is approved based upon the requested changes of that board, then it will go through the process of going through the engineering. It'll go through the process of going through the building process. So I hope that's addressed the question of whomever asked that as to what's the status. The status is, it's in, so to speak, the court of the developer. The developer needs to come in and present to the planning board as to what you want to do based upon the approved ordinance which is in place.
Good, yeah, that's good. One other sidebar on that, and we've heard from that podium argument that it takes on a particular developer and the fact that a project isn't developed by that developer. What do I mean? Planning board approves an application before plan and concepts, et cetera, consistent with the zoning, or if not, the zoning has to be looked at for it. But once it's approved, we don't put a name on the approval for the site plan. We don't put a name like Jones Construction. We don't put a name like Underwood Construction or anything else like that. So whoever has made the application to the planning board for that and gets the approval, leaves this room with it, is free to do with that approval which they wish. We have no control over that. So if that particular developer wants to sell a more lucrative piece of property, now that it's done by the, approved by the planning board, he can do so. We can't enter into that at all. But yet, some members of our community are demanding that we know who's doing our building and therefore hold those in the fire for getting the proper, building done. Can't be done. Can't be done. So having said that, that's the only question we got. You guys are great. You're gonna go home early.
Yep.
You know? Yeah, all right. If there's no other comment from us in the public, that's it. All of our staff is here, doing a great job. You are doing a great job, guys, I tell you. There's no question about it. We thank you, the public thanks you. I think the idea that we've had to go out and start to change the municipal culture of Hanover Township has started to take root. So the last several years, I think we're coming up with a lot of people who are complimentary and enjoying what that's all about. So thanks a lot, and motion to close? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so
All in favor?
Aye.
close.
All right.
Thanks, guys. Very good.
Planning process, how it works.
Tom.
Great job.
Thank you, Jerry.
I got all your money saying this.
You know what's good, though?
I knew that was your plan, that's why I got
A lot of information. This section does more to inform us sometimes than it does the public.